Have you ever stood on the beautiful Oregon coast, looked out at the vast Pacific Ocean, and felt a sense of complete peace? The crashing waves, the salty air, the dramatic cliffs. It's a picture of serene, natural beauty. But what if I told you that beneath that tranquil surface lies one of the most significant geological threats in North America? A threat that scientists call a ticking time bomb. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're journeying deep beneath the waves off the coast of Oregon to uncover a chilling geological reality. We're talking about the Cascadia Subduction Zone, a massive 800-mile-long fault line stretching from Northern California all the way up to British Columbia. This isn't just any fault line. It's capable of producing a megaquake, an earthquake with a magnitude of 9.0 or even higher. For the millions of people living in the Pacific Northwest, this isn't a matter of if, but when. So, what exactly is this sleeping giant, and what would happen if it were to awaken? To understand the threat, we first need to understand the science. Picture two massive tectonic plates. The Juan de Fuca plate, an oceanic plate, is slowly but relentlessly sliding underneath the much larger North American plate, the very ground we stand on. This process is called subduction. For centuries, these two plates haven't been sliding smoothly. They've been stuck, locked together by immense friction. All that energy, all that pressure has been building up year after year, decade after decade. It's like pushing a giant spring tighter and tighter. Eventually, that spring will snap back with incredible force. When that happens, the North American plate will lurch upwards and westwards, unleashing a catastrophic amount of energy in the form of a magnitude 9 earthquake. Now let's try to wrap our heads around what magnitude 9 really means. The earthquake scale is logarithmic, which means a magnitude 9 isn't just a little bigger than a magnitude 7 or 8. It is exponentially more powerful. A magnitude 9.0 earthquake releases over 900 times more energy than the magnitude 6.7 Northridge earthquake that shook Los Angeles in 1994. It would be 32 times more powerful than the infamous 1906 San Francisco earthquake. The shaking from a Cascadia megaquake wouldn't last for a few seconds. It could go on for 4 to 6 minutes. Imagine the ground beneath your feet violently rolling and shaking for the length of 2 entire songs. Buildings, bridges, and infrastructure not built to withstand such prolonged and intense shaking would be at extreme risk of collapse. The entire landscape of the Pacific Northwest would be forever altered in a matter of minutes. But the earthquake itself is only the first part of this disaster duo. The sudden upward thrust of the seafloor during the quake would displace a colossal amount of water, generating a massive tsunami. This wall of water would race towards the coast at the speed of a jetliner. For coastal communities in Oregon, Washington, and Northern California, the warning time would be terrifyingly short. Perhaps only 15 to 30 minutes before the first waves hit. These wouldn't be the gentle waves you see at the beach. They could be towering walls of water 30, 50, or even 100 feet high in some areas, capable of inundating everything miles inland, sweeping away homes, roads, and entire communities. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan, also a magnitude 9.0 event, gave us a devastating preview of what Cascadia is capable of. You might be thinking, this sounds like a modern discovery, something we've only recently figured out. But the truth is, the evidence for these megaquakes has been hidden in plain sight for centuries, woven into the very fabric of the land and the culture of its earliest inhabitants. For generations, Indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest have passed down oral traditions and stories that chillingly describe events that sound exactly like a megaquake and tsunami. The Quileute and Ho tribes have tales of a great battle between the Thunderbird and the whale, a struggle so intense it shook the earth and sent the ocean rushing over the land. Other stories describe the ground shaking violently and the sea suddenly receding, only to return as a massive, destructive wave that forced their ancestors to flee to higher ground. For a long time, these were considered myths, but now geologists see them as invaluable historical records, eyewitness accounts of past catastrophes. And the geological evidence backs up these stories perfectly. Scientists have discovered what they call ghost forests along the coastlines of Oregon and Washington. These are groves of dead cedar trees, standing eerily in coastal salt marshes. By studying the tree rings, geologists determined that these forests were suddenly dropped several feet in elevation and inundated by salt water, killing them almost instantly. This sudden subsidence is a classic signature of a massive subduction zone earthquake. Even more compelling is the sand. Layers of sand, carried inland by a powerful wave, can be found deposited over the old forest floor. By carbon dating the trees and the organic material in the soil, scientists have been able to pinpoint the exact time this happened. The last great Cascadia earthquake didn't happen in some vague, prehistoric past. We know exactly when it occurred. On the evening of January 26th in the year 1700. How can we be so precise? The answer lies across the Pacific Ocean, in Japan. Historical records from that time describe an orphan tsunami, a mysterious tsunami that struck the coast of Japan without any preceding earthquake being felt locally. Japanese scientists were baffled for centuries, but when modern geologists calculated the timing, they realized that a magnitude 9 earthquake off the coast of North America would have generated a tsunami that would take about 10 hours to cross the Pacific, arriving in Japan at the exact time the orphan tsunami was recorded. The ghost forests of Oregon and the historical records of Japan tell the same terrifying story from opposite sides of the world. Looking at the geological record, scientists have determined that these megaquakes happen, on average, every 300 to 500 years. The last one was in 1700. That was over 320 years ago. We are squarely within the window for the next big one. This isn't a scare tactic. It's a statistical and geological reality that emergency planners, engineers, and residents of the region are taking very seriously. Oregon, in particular, has been making strides in preparing. There are new building codes, tsunami evacuation routes are marked all along the coast, and public awareness campaigns are becoming more common. But the scale of the challenge is immense. Much of the critical infrastructure, bridges, hospitals, power grids, was built before we understood the full extent of this threat and remains vulnerable. So what can you do? The most important first step is awareness. Understand the risk, especially if you live in or plan to visit the Pacific Northwest. Know the signs. If you are near the coast and feel an earthquake that is so strong you can't stand up, or that lasts for a minute or longer, don't wait for an official warning. That is your warning. Immediately move to high ground as fast as you can. For everyone in the region, preparedness is key. Have a go bag with essentials like water, food, a first aid kit, and a flashlight. Have a family emergency plan. Know where you'll meet and how you'll communicate if normal services are down. The goal isn't to live in fear, but to live with respect for the powerful natural forces that have shaped and will continue to shape this beautiful part of the world. The sleeping giant beneath Oregon's waves will wake up one day. Being prepared is our best and only defense. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the Cascadia Subduction Zone. It's a sobering topic, but knowledge is power. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content that explores the fascinating and powerful world around us. Stay safe and stay prepared.